Scortasini per Nedved, Pirlo, la conclusione in rete, Andrea Pirlo, un gol pazzesco! Del Piero, gol! Alex Del Piero! Palla di Pogacar, Pogba, rete, un gol incredibile! Pogba fa esplodere lo Juventus Stadium!
Buongiorno. Come ha detto lei, buongiorno. Smooth start as always. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my name is Farhad. I'm the host that loves you most, and I am the host of Turin Giants podcast, episode number 288. Kevin, do you think doing remodeling during the studio remodeling during the intro was a smart move? I literally just dropped something. Smooth operation, man. The voice, the laugh you just heard was Kevin from Boston,
Tifosi
Massachusetts
Bianconeri.
area. What's up, buddy?
Wish we were here under different circumstances.
Hey, we're gonna have fun, man. We got a guest joining us, but before we introduce him, Fredo, welcome back. And we have a guest joining us. One of our listeners is Raffaele. What's up, buddy?
All good. Thanks for having me.
He is currently in a international space station, as you can hear. He's high in the clouds above us. We couldn't work out the sound quality, Kings, but he's a friend. We'll let him slide this one time. He's from. Hold on. Frederick told me that I do a good Copenhagen, right?
Denmark.
Yes. So same
Beautiful
place.
town, beautiful city.
Is it is there any modern architecture there, or is it just beautiful?
Oh, yeah.
You look like you're living in a fairy tale?
Both.
Well,
And some
welcome.
of the best food in the world too. Just
Really?
amazing dining. Yeah. Such a rich culture and history of just fine dining and cuisine too. Just if you're a foodie, it's a place to be.
Awesome. Good to know. Alessandro
Confirm.
Belpiero joining us. And before we got started with a little, pre-podcast meeting, the craziest thing within a minute of Rafa meeting Frederick, they found out the craziest thing. Frederick, I'm going to let you tell the story.
Yeah, well, basically, just, for understanding, we have never met. I think we've never spoken.
I've never spoken to Raffaele either.
I mean, we haven't been in touch or whatever. And basically, Raffaele was raised in the same city that I'm in currently, a small town in Belgium, in Limburg. And I actually go to the gym next to his father's restaurant. So it's a small world, given the fact that he's in Copenhagen at this point, and I'm in fucking Belgium.
Let's not gloss over it. Like it's like what are the chances?
It's insane.
Yeah. It's you will win the Champions League type of odds that we encountered today. So
well, let's not go crazy. Some things do happen. Boys and girls, what are we going to talk about? Episode number 288. Shout out to Zach. He's sitting this one out. I know a lot of people love Zach, but he's taking a well-deserved break. The man's been doing podcast after podcast after podcast. We allowed him to take a few days off. I think the Atalanta game just damaged him to a point where he can't come back. That's actually a point that I wanted to make. We did not want to make a podcast. We were just like, we'll talk about it on the next one. It was too traumatizing. And we will talk about the game, maybe not the game itself, but we'll discuss the repercussions and the fallout with the fans, and we'll take the boys' opinions on what's going on at Juve currently. We'll also talk about, we'll touch on Allegri and the crazy Allegri 3.0 movement. We will discuss the brand new reports that came out about Chiellini maybe joining the board. Looks like that's a done deal. Frederick, the Mr. Rumor Man, told me that you can believe that. And we'll have a couple other things. We'll always find stuff to talk about on the Turin Giants podcast. Ooh, before I forget, brand new drop tonight, probably by the time you're listening to this podcast. You will be, sorry, Uncle Farhad is tired. I'm sitting down today. Brand new Turin Giants shirts have dropped. Turin Giants with the coordinates here, and bam! Hold on, terrible view. Our shirts dedicated to Stadio delle Alpi. Beautiful design by Colosimo, Mr. Cola 99.
I think my delivery guy messed something up because I haven't seen anything in the mail yet. So
you will, my friend. You will. You guys,
I know.
literally the best, the best shirts we've ever produced. I'm really happy. I literally been wearing this for a couple of days. They run smaller, so if you're an L like me, XL is the size for you. They're beautiful. They're roomy. The shirts themselves are, the newer style. They're not really hugging you. They're little sports weary. So
Farhad, how fast can you get me one? I'm gonna be in.
oh really?
I'm gonna be in Turin, not this upcoming weekend, but the following weekend. Of course, there's no match going on. I could model it for you with Turin in the background.
Let's go. I'll send it to you right after the episode. Absolutely.
Yeah, I fly out Monday.
Dude, that'll be sweet. I appreciate you. Yeah, please support the podcast and our passion for fashion. All right, boys. I'll shut up right now. Frederick, let's start with Chiellini. Since that's in the news, I feel like we should touch on that. I got to be honest with you. I've been running around all morning. I just saw a couple of Instagram posts about it. What do you hear? What do you say, boss?
Well, according to people I've spoken to, it's in fact something that is bound to happen. Our good sponsor, John Alcan himself, reached out to Chiellini personally and asked him if he was willing to take on the duty of being our general director from next season onwards. And from what I hear, Chiellini is not hesitant about being our general director. So it looks like all but a done deal. I don't know how you guys feel. I myself have to say I'm a bit disappointed.
Why is that?
I love Chiellini to death, but I feel this has been something within our club for a few years now, this internal movement and promotion and just looking at, I don't know, not the capabilities, but the people themselves. I think there are better general directors to be had than Chiellini because he lacks a bit of experience. And I, for one, am done with experimenting. I just want something or someone trustworthy, capable, and competent. And if Chiellini is our man for that, well, let's hope. But I feel like it's a bit of a long shot and a gamble once again. And I'm a bit tired of gambling with our club, to be honest. So I have mixed feelings. I don't know what Kevin's opinion about that is.
Do you think this, if he gets appointed, Thiago Motta will finally let him into the dressing room? Is this his ticket in?
I think what I hear is that he has overall carte blanche, so to speak. So he'll be the person who decides if Thiago Motta even will be entering the dressing room as such. So he'll have the last word on coaches, on incoming transfers, outgoing ones as well. So he'll be above Giuntoli if Giuntoli stays.
So my take on it is we tend to, I don't know if like contradict ourselves is the right phrase. Maybe there's a better way of explaining this. I think a very large proportion of Juve fans recently have been very vocal about the lack of kind of board and management presence recently. Taking ownership of just the current situation of results. I think we saw Giuntoli after the Empoli match for the first time in a very long time speaking about it, but that's kind of once every, I don't know, 10 or 15 games, we maybe see him speak in this capacity.
And it was
Um,
pre-recorded, by the way. Sorry to interrupt, but it was a pre-recorded interview
yeah,
that was aired on Sky Sports, so it was basically a setup.
yeah, doctored up, just going through the motions. Yeah, so that's a good point. So we've been vocal about the lack of board presence. Challenges or situations with VAR, right? Where previously, like Agnelli and group would speak out about this, would defend the club, right? And we haven't been doing this. We've been kind of bowing down to UEFA for reasons maybe that can be justified given what we've experienced in recent years. But club doesn't have like the Juve soul. They're not vocal. They're not defending. We just have like suits in there who are there to like clean up the club, good law minds, good business minds, but they're not the ones for TV. And like we've been wanting people to defend the club with heart and soul. And I can't think of there's only a handful of players that you would put up there at the same level as Chiellini with that like Juve DNA that who can represent that mentality that we want to see in the management group. The thing that also works in his favor is he's actually educated in this area, right? It's not like he was only a kind of a footballer without any education. Like I think one of the very interesting things about him, we've heard interviews from him recently, and by the way, his English is actually way more impressive than I realized.
English.
Yeah. He went back to school, right? And he has a master's degree, I think, in business administration from the University of Torino, from Unito. So, I mean, education, real life experience, different things, don't get me wrong. But if we're looking to balance the board and like management team with somebody who will fight for the club, embodies our spirit, what we represent, get us back on the right track, this seems like a reasonable addition if you have you round out that group with like the true business and management experience. But I think there are worse candidates.
Rafa, any thoughts on that? Sorry, boys, I'm having mic trouble.
I actually agree with Kevin, and also with Frederick. I'm gonna bring it back to around 2010, 2008, 2010. Dark time for us, but we also switched a lot with directors, and we didn't really have someone for the club. That changed when Agnelli came in. You can say whatever you want of him, but he really was a Juventino, and he was really present every game. And then, of course, after the nice years, we made our decisions. But I think that is what we are lacking right now. Someone that's really, up there, really wants the best for Juve, really understands what the fans want. And I think Chiellini is someone that not only lived it on the pitch, but also understands now what's going on up there and can translate it into more actionable items for the club. Because right now we're a bit soulless. We are lacking the Juve DNA, the grinta on the pitch. I think that's clear this year. But we're also lacking it on the level of board executives. With all respect, I don't think I've ever seen Scanavino in an interview. Maybe that's just me. Just to drop a name. But what are your thoughts on that, Frederick?
I agree. I'm not sure if Chiellini is the right man at the right place at the right time. I sure as hell hope so, because we desperately need someone. We need a general director in any sense of the word, because everything falls in Giuntoli's laps right now, and he's proven that he can't do everything by himself and make more bad decisions, in my opinion, than good ones. So we need someone to oversee that and to be present as a media persona, or maybe someone who is more vocal about the club. So it's true, but I don't know what will happen if Agnelli comes back. That's
What would Chiellini's role
That's
be
spoiler.
anyway? What do you think?
General director. So basically, he has
The man.
complete control. To put it very, very roughly, but he'd have control about incoming and outgoing transfers. He'd have control about balances. He'd have control about coaches or whoever stays or goes. So yeah, he'd be the person to replace Juntali in front of the cameras. I think he'd be more present, knowing
So I'm
Chiellini.
reading here, finally finding some articles because it's fairly brand new. Chiellini could join the sporting side of Juventus next season and become the general manager. Giorgio would become a point of contact between the team and the management, who can help bring enthusiasm back to the group and help Giuntoli with the daily management of the squad. All right, we'll see. I mean,
Isn't that what was lacking a bit last year? I think we all remember when Allegri left and how he was actually tearing his jacket and shouting at
who can
the
forget?
people up there. And I think that was a culmination of the frustration of an entire year not being able to see things on the same level.
Yeah, no, much needed because there's a vacuum right now. Wasn't there a photo of one of our executives like sleeping at the game or something?
He always sleeps. I think it's Canavino. He's always sleeping. We were getting butt raped by Atalanta, and that man was sitting in the stands sleeping. It's you couldn't paint a prettier picture that of the official situation that we're going through as a club by just that screenshot.
They're not football guys. They're installed by Elkin to fix up the club following the fallout from Plus Valenza and the salary fiasco, and that's what they've done. And I think this might, Farhad, might be an interesting transition to the kind of Allegri kind
Let's
of
go.
discussion as
You
well.
read my mind.
I mean, we can criticize Allegri for a number of things, especially Allegri 2.0, but what we can't criticize him for is how he managed and shielded that team from all the off-field issues that group had to navigate when the board resigned and he was the guy. You have all these business and lawyer legal people installed to navigate us through the mess. No footballing sense. And Allegri was the guy. And then when you get to the end of last season, that's hung out to dry. And he was hung out to dry. And I know if I'm him, knowing what I achieved with that club in my first tenure and what I mean to the club and what I had done through that period, and then get treated in that way, the way he reacted in the Coppa Italia final was probably light. Like that could have been a lot heavier. But Allegri knew what it meant to wear the jersey. Or to represent the jersey rather, and what it meant to coach this club. Does that mean with these? Just real quick, does that mean with the rumors circulating about him coming back for a third time, would I be supportive of it? No. No, I'm grateful for what he did in his first term. I was very supportive of him, generally frustrated at times, but generally supportive of him through the second term. I think too much heat went his way that he was not in control of. And this year is just further proof that it's not just the manager at the helm or the playing style. There's deeper issues that stem through the club right now. But bringing Allegri back isn't going to make things any better. It's not moving forward. And especially if these Agnelli rumors are true. And I just can't see how Allegri would work with like Giuntoli again. I just like after that, like how would that even work?
Well,
right? Unless like Agnelli would come in and like clear Giuntoli out, and I don't know. I just don't see how that works.
I'm gonna put some things in perspective because in a previous podcast or one of the previous podcasts I mentioned that I knew somebody who works with Agnelli, well, in the same business area, and who has a thing or two to say about him or talks with him regularly. And one of the things he asked, and that was, let me check my text message. It was Monday, actually, so the day after the Atalanta debacle. And I'm just going to read in Italian. He said, Presidente, che succede? So, Mr. President, what's happening? And Agnelli replied, hanno distrutto la mia Juventus, io questo non lo accetto, vediamo cosa succederà. So Agnelli basically said they destroyed my Juventus and I can't accept this. Let's see what happens.
That he's not wrong.
So,
And just hearing him say that kind of makes you feel good. You know?
I mean, he embodied
he feels for it.
Juventus.
It's, yeah.
And I know people hold him accountable for what has happened lately, and as well he should be, because he made mistakes. Let's be honest here, he did. But it wasn't easy because you were fighting the Lega Serie A, you were fighting the UEFA.
Yeah.
So
You can't deny that he wants the best for Juve, you know?
no, of course not.
100%.
And Agnelli is Juve. Like, I heard stories about him when he was still president. He went to talk to the people that mowed the pitch. He went to talk to the people that made the shirts or the kits or whatever. He really put everybody on focus, and he was really compassionate with everybody. Wanted the best for the team, but still also wanted that performance. He was a human president because he was always present, but he was always also somebody who demanded the best in honor and respect of the jersey that those players wear. And this is something that's very rare if you see clubs getting taken over by conglomerates and investors. And I mean, we've seen it with Milan. I have a bit of sympathy for Milan because it's a legendary club, we have to be honest. And if you see what's going on there, it kind of brings tears to your eyes because you see like squads like Manchester City being noteworthy, but they have no history. Like, all the clubs with a decent history seem to be passed on, seem to be put in by the trash or taken over. And I think Agnelli's very sensitive to that and doesn't want that to happen to Juventus.
Well said. Well said.
And to add on that, I think teams like United, who have been in the cycle for many years, AC Milan, like you said, they have shown us clearly that changing the trainer from Ten Hag to Amorim, Milan, Pioli, Fonseca, Conceição, it's not just a magic trick. It's not just a switch on and off. So you have to go to the roots. And I think there is a lot of watching in a mirror at the club on different levels that needs to be done first. Aside from Allegri, I also heard the names of the wet dream Zidane, Pioli, and correct me if I'm wrong, Conte.
We forget
Conte
Klopp.
seems to
We
be
forget Klopp, Jurgen Klopp, the savior.
Never afford Klopp.
No, he doesn't want to join. I mean, that's media bullshit. But all the other names have some sort of trueness to them.
Yeah.
Conte always circles around us.
Yeah, and I'm sick and tired. Conte, always that loop. Conte,
it's
Allegri,
too easy to
Conte,
make that
Allegri,
connection.
Conte, Allegri. Get somebody else in. Get a respected manager. Get somebody who knows what needs to be done. Get a board worthy of a mix of footballers and management guys, or whatever you want to call it, business guys. Get that balance in. Get that balance and set up a project. And I hate when I hear that word, but set up a decent project. Don't just change everything and hope for the best, because that's what we've done this season. Oh, let's rejuvenate the team. Let's bring salaries back. Oh, this guy, he's a coach at Bologna. He also coached Spezia. Let's give him a shot. I mean, he made 4th place or 5th place with Bologna. He was. We always tend to look at somebody as our savior, like we completely gamble it all, or we play it safe and go back to the past, being Allegri, Conte. We can never find the middle ground in between that. Why not find a coach who has a bit of, let's say, experience, who has motivation, and let's let him prove himself a bit. Why did we allow Giuntoli to spend, what is it, 250 million now? For the sake of Motta? How can we allow that? If you have a president that's overseeing that, at some point he'll say, oh, let's wait. I mean, we have a squad that should be able to qualify for Champions League, and that should be on the coach. Let's see if he does it this season. And if he does, we can get we can get reinforcements in next season. But now we decided to go all in, and we fucked ourselves. So that's Juve management. Bang up job.
All right. So let's read some comments here from Instagram. I mean, this post blew up. By the way, follow us on Turin Giants on Instagram. If you want to get a hold of us or watch some good content. We've been kicking ass lately. So a lot. I mean, there's like 100-something comments here. Antonio, I posted, Allegri return and just trying to hear people's opinion, but someone says Allegri 3.0 equals treble and little smiley face. So there was a lot of pro Allegri comments. Many of them said ridiculous. Someone said, let's give Allegri the respect he always deserves, but no, get Zidane. Zidane comes with a hefty paycheck and he wants people for a lot of money. He had one of the greatest teams ever. Of course.
If Zidane was an attractive prospect and was on the market, he'd be coaching somewhere right now.
Yeah.
I just, that's a non-option.
Yeah, so if you want to go read all of the comments, go to our Turin Giants Instagram page. No, I mean, the majority is absolutely not. People don't understand. There's a lot of comments in foreign languages that are not translating. So we're definitely getting the comments. Basta Allegri, no Allegri. I mean, people just wrote a whole paragraphs. But let me read the one that I pinned, and that got a lot of comments and replies. So we'll just finish the topic with this comment. I'm not necessarily asking for Allegri back, but let's keep in mind that he had half the quality players that Motta has now, and he did much better than him last year. In the year prior, he dealt with the Calciopoli 2.0 on his own because the Società, if we could even call it that, and he became completely invisible. Some people don't like his type of football, but his teams have an identity, and so on and so forth. And people did say that, winning is all that matters for us. He was giving us wins, even if they were 1-0 and not really attractive game. But a lot of people complained that they were so unattractive. It was unwatchable, right? So I don't know. Obviously,
I think he would have done better with this squad.
Undoubtedly. I have a lot of respect for Allegri, don't get me wrong, and he would have done a lot. I think if we would have Allegri right now, we'd be second, at the very least, just off the top of my head. But however, you have to be realistic and see the games that we fumbled with Allegri as well. For the life of me, I cannot forget the night of Maccabi Haifa. Just to name one, remember the quarterfinal against Ajax. So he had a decent squad back then as well, because people tend to refer to his last season where he didn't have like all these magic players. But there was a point in time when he had Higuain, Ronaldo, Dybala, and we lost against Maccabi. So
not with that team.
Have to look. Yeah, I mean,
different teams there, but.
Yeah, we have to put it in perspective, and I'm just tired of this loop. Like there's a lot of good coaches around available or not, I don't know, but it doesn't necessarily always have to be Conte or Allegri. I respect them both. I respect what they've done for us as a player, as a coach, or whatever. But everything moves in waves, and we past that point now. Let's just say goodbye gracefully, move on, and see what we can do.
But I think that's what Giuntoli has tried to do with Motta. And at the beginning of this season, like we go back to our own season kickoff here, and Frederico was before I think you joined and became more of a regular. We talked about the parallels between Thiago Motta and Marcello Lippi. Now, and like I know that sounds a bit I don't know, wild in context of what we're experiencing this year. But you look at Lippi's managerial career prior to joining Juve. He was with Cesena and Lucchese in Serie B, had a bad season with Atalanta, his first Serie A, and then was with a bad Napoli. So he changed teams every single year. So he had 4 years of coaching experience, then joined Juve in 94 and won instantly, and then was there for the next 5 years. And then he had that little like hiccup with Inter and then came back and continued to win. Not much more managerial experience than Thiago Motta. And I think Motta was a bet, right? You see this more attractive, fluid, modern football that we want to step into. We see results. We see him delivering with a team that shouldn't be where they are. Someone who still has like that Italian identity and having played with the Italian national team and team that had a style. And I think coming into this year, I was incredibly excited about it. Some things just don't work, or there's still a chance. I mean, the season's not over yet, but we're out of 2 competitions. 4th place looks incredibly further at risk than it ever has been. But some things just don't work out. It's like, who questioned this other than it was expensive and took forever? Who was upset about Coop Miners? Who was really upset about Douglas Luiz? We were excited about this.
But
Well,
then
you're
it
always
also
excited about transfers.
Yeah.
it always
But
begs
the same thing
question.
about Malta, right? Like I like going back to Allegri. No, like that's not something we can do. I think all of us here respect it and what he has done. And
No, God, please, no, 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 no.
Freddie, to your point, like we need to move out of this cycle. We needed to do something new. We can't keep coming back to these same names. Need to be able to move forward. Tried that this year, but unfortunately, it's not working.
But that's my
Well,
question
we're
to
winning
you
a
guys.
treble. Don't you read the comments? We were going to win the treble.
This is my
With
question
Allegri
to you
3.0.
guys.
Mhm.
I'm gonna make the parallel to Napoli with Spalletti in his first year. They stole the wheels off his car in the first year because they wanted him to go away. I think you all heard that story, where they stole the wheels of his car because they didn't want him in Napoli anymore. The year after, and I was there in Napoli, the city exploded when they won the first Scudetto, like a complete shift, just by giving a man the time. And I'm all for Motta bis, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I'm not. If there was a communication that was sent out like right now that Motta would have been fired on air on this podcast, I'd go and grab my most expensive bottle of Dom Perignon and open it up and drink it fully. And I'll tell you why as well, because people see me as the hater of the podcast, the most
You're not
negative
a
one.
hater.
I just feel there has to be some sort of accountability, and the depths we've reached this season are at such a low point that a shockwave is needed. And we can agree that maybe the coach is not in his finest hour at this point. Neither are the players. Our board and our management basically sucks. Those are all things we need to change, but we can't change them overnight. This is a gradual process, but what we can do, and what is the most logic explanation in football, because it's always been this way, if the results suck, the coach is the first person who has to suffer and pay the cost of those results. So I feel at this point, get him out, bring Brambilla in from the next gen for all I care to finish the season, but send a shockwave to the players, because this what we experienced Atalanta at our stadium is beyond shameful.
Well,
This
let's talk
is
about it. We
beyond
wanted to bring
shameful.
up the fallout after the game. People leaving. I don't know. Kevin's been to the stadium many times. He was a season ticket holder. He must have seen some people leaving, but maybe if we're up 5-0 or something. But I've never seen just stream of people leaving the stadium. That was really sad.
Yeah, one of my good friends was there, and he said like after the third goal specifically, people. I mean, as we saw on television, it was sad to see them leave. And as I think I messaged you guys, like as he started to leave after the match, because my friend stayed the entire game, there were groups of fans and ultras singing about like Allegri back. That you could hear that as you were leaving.
Very interesting.
But
Do you
people just
believe it
saying
was
this
taunting
isn't.
or they mean it?
I think. I honestly.
What was the
believe
question?
that-
Sorry.
I honestly
Do-
believe that they mean it. Like, was it just like taunting or
Mm.
true? The ultras have incredible respect for Allegri. They were very upset to see the way in which he left. And there's a relationship there. So I do think that there was some seriousness to that for sure, because they liked the way that they were respected by Allegri and what this faction of fans means to the club. And at times, I know personally, I don't always agree with some of the stances that the Curva Sud groups take. And sometimes I feel it can be a bit dramatic at times. And I'd rather just see them look past things and support the club instead of making everything about them. But the reality is they're the heartbeat of the stadium. And if without them, you don't have the orchestration, you don't have the atmosphere, you don't have the energy. And it's half of the experience of going to the Allianz is witnessing that. And when they're in strike or protest or whatever the flavor of the month is, it's
Farhad, this is not the time for renovations, to be honest. I'm sorry. But
I'm hitting every angle, everything. Sorry, boys. I know it's really distracting. I try to do it quietly.
no, but Kevin, like I wanted to compliment you on the way that you put it, because it was very well put and well said. Like honestly, and I think that's the essence of the shit show that we're in at this point. There is no cohesion, not between the coach, the players, management, fans. There is no cohesion. There is no sense of accountability, because in the situation that we're in, let's be honest, everybody's at fault. And I mean everybody, from management to coach to players, even the fans. I tend to agree a lot with Drugi and Kuvasut, and at times Kuvanov as well. But at this point, the timing is so poor. The timing is really poor. They defended Allegri every step of the way, which is their God-given right, and I admire them for that as well, because we saw difficult matches, let's be honest, but they supported him. Why not grind your teeth for these months to come and just do a little bit for Mota and the team in particular as well? Because there's no magic recipe, there's no on-off switch that can turn or shift this thing around. So if you want to protest, be my guest. You have a reason to protest when we're down 0-4 against Atalanta in our home stadium. But, choose your time and don't
And
make things worse.
Rafa, go ahead, buddy.
I wanted to add something to what Frederick was saying, both what Kevin was saying about the fans in the stadium. They're the beating heart, and they will let you feel what is going on, right? And I think one moment that was really, really important for me during the game was the whistling of Cuadrado. Now, rationally, I can understand where it's coming from. He went to Inter, blah, blah, blah. But I believe if we were in a winning position and Cuadrado would come back, if we were playing for the title, if we qualified in the Champions League, we wouldn't utter that frustration towards Cuadrado and remember the legend that he has been for us in many occasions. I think that was really like an important moment in the game that showed the attitude of the fans.
If
Do
I
you guys
ever
think
meet
that?
if I ever meet Cuadrado, I will literally spit in his face.
Oh, whoa.
I'm sorry. That's my opinion. I saw that clip of him at the Duomo in Milano. Chi non salto Juventino, and he was like jumping. After that, all respect gone. Out the window, done. I mean, you can go to Inter, you can go to Milan, you can win titles. It's your God-given right. You're a professional football player. You have to go where your paycheck lands you. But after all those years, after all the things you experienced, saw, and emotionally witnessed at Juventus, by jumping around to the tune of "Who doesn't jump is a Juventino." I'm sorry, that's the limit for me. That's the limit for me. I have no respect for him whatsoever. I appreciate what he's done. I appreciate
So you
point.
do
the
have some
hard work.
respect.
Yeah, to a professional extent, as a football player, as somebody who does their job. But other than that, I have no further emotional bond with Cuadrado because of that action, and that's me being petty. And I know
Yeah.
that's just a fact.
Hey,
But that's
that's your
my
choice.
my emotional response to just sing along with the Curva Nord of Milano, because why do that? Just be happy that you've won. Be happy that you can pocket your paycheck every month and celebrate those wins. But don't go further than that and embarrass the team that helped you set up your international career as well. Because
Yeah.
we always seem to think that players give a lot to Juventus, but we also have to see what Juventus gives to them. And we tend to lose sight of that because Juventus made Zidane, Juventus made Del Piero, Juventus made Platini, and they have been nothing but respectful to us. And then have somebody like Quadrado, who meant a lot to us, who did a lot for us. I'll give him that. But then do that after winning a title with Inter, to me, is heartbreaking and speaks volumes. And that was my personal petty rant of this
Hey,
episode.
petty
Thank you
rant.
for listening. I apologize, but I just wanted to get that
roast it.
straight. Sorry, Rafa, to hijack you. My apologies, man.
No,
You-
and like I said, I fully understand where it was coming from. My hypothesis was just that I believe if we were running for the title, if we were in a really good moment, we wouldn't focus on that. I mean, when it goes bad, you start to utter frustrations, right? And you're gonna be more pessimistic. I think that's human
Yeah.
nature as well. That was my point.
I mean, I get it. I understand, but imagine how he felt after all he's done. Here, the stadium that used to cheer for you, and you celebrated with the fans and sang the song and anthems. Whether you agree with it or not, I mean, I hope he never runs into Fredo. But yeah, it must have felt kind of shitty as a player, right? But I mean, he's how good. He's not that good anymore, right? He was only good at flopping, and our fans didn't. Maybe that didn't add to it because he was on the ground every chance he got. Kevin, Fredo, Ralph, anything from the game that you want to point out? I mean, it was a complete shellacking, 4-0 for the first time since what, 1964 or 64, right?
67, I think. 67.
67.
I wanna, for me, the highlight of.
Go ahead.
For me, the highlight of the game and that aspect was the famous assist of Dusan.
Oh my
Of the
God!
game.
How
I think
do
that
you
was
do that?
the emblematic moment of the game. And
He couldn't have done it if he meant that, right?
Murphy's Law in all respects, but okay,
Unbelievable.
very emblematic, that moment.
I'm glad
looking at
I
my-
missed that live. I
Yeah.
after the third goal, I got
think many-
so angry and I stepped up and walked away. And I came back and saw it was 4-0. I'm like, that's it. And I saw the highlight later, but I'm so glad I didn't see that live. I may have had a burst blood vessel in my brain.
Yeah, that wasn't fun.
For me, it was the same. And to because I think Kevin messaged us as well that he was like, "I'm gonna shut down. I'm gonna put on a movie or something." Was that right, Kev?
Yeah.
And I was like, "I'm going to sleep." Well, I didn't go to sleep, but it was after that third goal, and it was like moments after Kev sent that message. And it was the first time since we lost the final against Borussia Dortmund. I can't remember the year. I know that I was
97.
a young lad at the
97.
time.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was the second time that I can remember that I cried because of what happened to Juventus. Like I know at Dortmund, you're young, you witnessed your team play a final, so that's mostly disappointment.
Go ahead.
But I really, I had tears in my eyes because I was baffled by what was happening. Because everything that could go wrong went wrong, but the way it went wrong to me speaks volumes. And it was heartbreaking. There was literally nothing left of the Juventus that we know and we love. And for some strange reason, at that moment, it hit me like a brick wall. And it really tore me apart. It wasn't a specific action. It wasn't a specific sequence within the game or a specific player movement or far situation. It was just that point of realizing
That
that
actually brings me. I was thinking
my
before
team's
the
done.
podcast. You think this is the lowest of the low that we've experienced since we've been great?
Oh,
Well, so I think I messaged this with our group as well, and like since being Juventino in my 20 plus years, this is probably the most like disconnected from the team I've felt. My passion for the team and love for the kit and just having it be a meaningful part of my life is obviously still there and won't go anywhere. But like my connection to the squad and like the emotion, like Freddie, you talking about shedding a tear after the match. Mine was one of just like almost no emotion. It just I'm not connecting with this team because it's not, they're not showing the mentality and the approach and this.
You're only human.
Yeah, I'm not what we have thrown away. The lack of accountability, the absence of the management. Freddie, you were saying it perfectly. Everything is in a state of disarray. Everything. Nothing is going right. All facets of everything. We can't even get a shirt sponsor, for crying out loud, more than halfway through the season.
We're still saving the children.
Yeah.
Save them from watching the games.
Save the children. Don't show them Juve.
I'm just so like disconnected from what's going on, and it's just there's a game coming up on Sunday against Fiorentina. We'll probably tie or lose that game, whatever. And I hate having that feeling. Like even you go back to post Serie B, where we came up and had like something to prove, right? And this was like early in my like Juve fandom, and then it's those like we had a couple good seasons, and then like the two really bad seasons with Del Neri and finishing in 7th before Conte came back. But I even remember then just still like fighting and like we can be better than this. We came out of Serie B, like we're still Juventus, and we like I still felt that passion because I still think the team then was fighting, even though they weren't great squads and we weren't delivering. Now it's just there's a lack of identity. And that I'm struggling to hold on to, and this is the lowest I have felt in a very long time with Juve.
You articulated that very well, Kevin. The thing that I have felt this year is exactly what you said: disconnection. And even when we were at Serie B, we had people. I watched the games because Del Piero played. I'm gonna be honest, because I'm a sucker.
I was studying abroad in Turin in university, then went to almost every home match during Serie B.
Didn't we play in that time in the Stadio Comunale of Torino?
Where Torino is now. That's the Delle Alpi was getting kind of refurbished. But
did somebody mention Delle Alpi?
I sure did.
I love it.
TurinGiants.com. Please go.
This episode contains product placement.
I'll have 5.
Oh, beautiful. We offer 4 colors. Other colors are yellow and something else.
But Raffaele is spot on. I remember going to the Serie B games as well. And outside of the stadium, people I knew were saying to me, like, Hey man, you're wearing your Juve jersey. You're going to Serie B game. Aren't you embarrassed? I said, I'm fucking proud. I see my team fighting. We actually saw Del Piero, Nedved, Trezeguet fighting
Camoranesi.
Camoranesi in the second division just to get our team back. I mean, we saw fighting spirit. We just stayed for one
With
season.
Didier
We,
Deschamps,
we
yeah.
we started with so many minus points that it was basically something that was impossible to achieve to get that promotion to Serie A within one season. We did that, and that made me feel so proud because you could feel the passion, the grinta. You could just even though it was the Comunale, which is a shit stadium. Let's be honest, it wasn't our stadium, it wasn't our home, but you could feel the electricity there against mediocre Serie B teams. But
I
they left a
think
mark, and we don't have that.
I think this. I followed Juventus since I was 2002, 2003. That was the seasons where I started to follow Juve. And even as a kid, I remember iconic games for me were the games in the Champions League 2003 against Barcelona and Real Madrid, the quarter and the semifinal. I skipped school for these matches. I remember that. Like I
Good
remember
memory.
Edgar Davids' red card against Barcelona, and that it was insane with Zalayeta. I think you all guys know.
Yeah.
And
Let me
here's
ask you something before we move on, because this pertains to the last episode we did.
yeah.
Give me did you listen? Oh no, that's not the last episode. The episode we did with, by the way, go back one episode behind on Spotify and listen to our episode with Uncle Beppe, G just Juve. That was fun. Frederick filled in for Kevin last minute, and Frederick ashamed our family by losing a quiz. Let me ask you, Raffaele. When Juventus won 3-1, name me the three goal scorers for Juventus against Real Madrid.
I didn't catch
I
that.
was there. I was glued to the screen. David Trezeguet, Alessandro Del Piero, and Pavel Nedved.
That's how it's done, Frederick. You've shamed our family going
And
to
the yellow
Beppe.
card. It's traumatic. It
I
was
was
a
given
formative experience.
I was given like the most difficult answers. I think I was being set up. I don't know. I mean,
No, you weren't. You weren't
it's all commercially involved nowadays. I
rigged.
mean, I'm not gonna go into that, but
That
I was treated like Juventus is treated by the VAR. Let's leave
I'm
it at
sorry.
that.
Let's go back.
that,
Go
that
to
season
the
for
answer.
me
Yes.
was the blueprint of Juventus and mentality and everything.
Yes.
And I for me personally, this season is the most opposite of that Lippi Juventus. I'm very biased because I started following it and I have emotions to that, but I feel we couldn't be further away than that cohesive Juve.
Yeah. No, well said. Yeah, I wanted just to remind you guys, I already mentioned it, but please go back and listen. It was a fun episode. Always a good time with Uncle Beppe. It was a long one too. He does the shows every Thursday. He's like, I've never gone over an hour and 10 minutes. We spoke for like an hour and 45 or something
Yeah,
like
shout
that.
out to
He's
Beppe.
just the
It was
nicest
awesome.
human.
Yeah, he's so
It
sweet.
just he's fantastic.
Another
Yeah.
Belgium, by the way. I mean, it can't be a
Beppe?
coincidence now, can it?
He
Yeah,
couldn't be
Beppe.
more of the
Beppe's
opposite
from
of you.
Belgium.
Beppe comes from Giuseppe. Is he also from Mechelen or?
No. He's from. He was born and raised in Brussels, I think, but he lives in Zoutleeuw at the moment.
Okay, a lot of Italians in Brussels as well. Yeah.
Yep.
So, boys, that was all well said by everyone. I think we're approaching the end of the podcast. Really nice episode today. I feel like this needed to be said, but I want to finish with something interesting, and we'll go around the room, and you guys will mention your players as well. So I started doing these threads or carousels as they're called, on Instagram. Just players that have something in common. I post their photos or whatever. Rafa doesn't have Instagram. He's like, can you screenshot me? I was like, I'm not screenshooting you every person that's on the list.
I saw it.
Let me take a look.
So I'll read some underrated ballers for Juve. We tend to forget the heroes that went unnoticed. Maybe people need reminders of those players that are not really. And I was actually talking to my daughter today about character actors. Those are the actors that are glues, like they're glue in the movie. You have your superstars, but there's players that go unnoticed. And you guys tell me what you think about them. Should we start? Kevin, you got that pulled up. Angelo Di Livio. The little spark plug, right? This guy was so low to the ground. He was like a little pit bull before pit bull was a thing, right?
He was like I hope this is a fair comparison, but just it's like a pre-Gattuso. Like I think like Gattuso and Di Livio kind of came up through kind of that same
kind of look alike too, right?
Playing. Yeah.
Yeah, he was a great player. That's when I started watching Juve. He was a really important player. I think number 7, right? Isn't that crazy how he was the number 7, then Ronaldo borrows his number, and he admitted it in an interview. Yeah, anyways, Angelo Di Livio. And actually, this thread, if you want to go back, it's way back. It's like February 27 on Instagram at Turin Giants.
Okay, I didn't see it.
Yeah, it's way down there. It got a lot of it got a heart emoji from Marquisio and people leaving him love messages under that comment. He follows us on Instagram. Lichtsteiner got a like. We got a like from Lichtsteiner because he follows us as well.
Do you consider Marquisio underrated?
That was a question that a lot of people posed because.
He's our Principino.
I understand, but like, is he known around the world? Like, if you
people know on the street, people on the street know Marquisio.
Streets won't forget Marquisio. I'm not saying he wasn't popular. I'm not saying Juve fans don't appreciate him, but ask an average footy fan. Marquisio. If someone tells you that they like Marquisio and they're not a Juve fan, they're really dedicated to the game. You know what I mean? Like, he's just not known to an average fan.
I think Marquisio had a really bad injury at the height of his career. I think timing-wise for him, that was something that was missing, because if he didn't have that injury and he could continue the level that he was reaching at that point, he'd be wildly known. Because let's not forget what. Shout out to Claudio.
Yeah, Il Principino. Always a classy guy when it comes to defending Juventus in the media.
And I like his style. I'm not going to lie, because he's a pundit now for DAZN, I think.
Uh-huh. Oh, he's a handsome bastard.
I mean, like, the way he dresses, is like, I really don't give a fuck. And I like that, because he was like that on the pitch as well. He did everything. Classy, but he also had that level of, I don't know, grinta. He could be like the nice guy helping people up, but he could also be the guy that, followed you around and tackled you on your ankles. He did pretty much everything. He was very, very underestimated, in my opinion.
Well, there you go. That's why we got a heart emoji from him. He actually, one of my favorite plays of his was when Ronaldo at the game in Turin was doing all the step overs and stuff like that. There's actually a GIF dedicated to it where Marquisio just pokes the ball away from him. It's so comical because you can see Ronaldo facing him and doing all sorts of trickery, and then Marquisio just literally like boop. But he was coming up in our list second. It's not by order, but I'm just going by the thread. So Lichtsteiner, what do you guys agree? Underrated, unsung hero for Juventus. Early 2000s, Camoranesi has to be the guy as well.
He came from Serie B. Like, it couldn't get more Juve than that.
That's right.
I remember his first goal against Feyenoord. I remember that as a kid.
Look at you.
With short hair. Like, he didn't have his long hair when he started with us. Because I was angry. Why do we get like a Serie B player? But then, wow.
So the Stadio Comunale in Turin is relatively close to this area called Lingotto, which is where they used to have like the old Fiat factory, and there's actually like a track on the roof where they used to do
legendary.
But it's a mall now. And I remember after class once, I was there buying like a phone charger or something. I can't remember what it was, but I bumped into him there. And I happened to be wearing like a Juve hoodie, and selfies weren't really like a thing back in 2007, but I think I had like a digital camera and like held it out, and I got a picture with Mauro in the mall. But that was the
Legendary.
only
love
player
it.
I met when I was in university then.
You've met some cool players. I think we should do a thread of all the players that, because I for some reason have in my camera roll your photo with Ibra, and he's wearing an Ibra hat, and you and your wonderful wife, you guys are so tiny comparing to him, and it's not because you guys
He's
are
a
tiny. He's just a
beast.
human. He's
Yeah.
just a humongous guy. Yeah, we should. You've met what, Nedved, or you saw him driving away or something with his little doggy,
yeah.
with his comically small pooch. But yeah, we should also do a thread of your encounters with players. Another player I mentioned is Gianluca Pessotto. I'm looking here. He played for Juventus from 1995 to 2006. Only 2
Reliable.
goals in 243 games. Only 2 goals, right? This guy.
His story is crazy.
Cachinardi. Look at that shirt.
No.
Come on.
Tucked in, captain's armband upside down. This guy's so cool.
But just quickly on Pisotto, I hope fans like know his story. And if not, people should go look that up. We probably don't have time to go through all of it, but
You have time. I mean, not all of it. But
I forget all the details, and I'm not looking it up right now. So maybe
I'm looking it up.
Rafa,
Can I throw in something very small? Frederick, you're gonna notice Gianluca Pessotto has family in our town, Maasmechelen. He came a few times.
I know. I personally know them.
Oh wow!
Sorry,
everybody living in your town? Is it a requirement for a building?
There's a lot of Italians.
Yeah, and that's a nice thing, a nice story to be told, a small one, because I'm hijacking Kevin. I'm sorry, my man.
No, it's okay, please.
My bad.
But the relatives I know from Gianluca Pessotto, they told me at a certain point, I can't remember how many years it was ago, that Moreno Torricelli and David Trezeguet were coming to Hasselt, which is a town near us, where they were going to promote the Juventus Youth Academy, because they have different youth academies in different cities around the world. And they were going for dinner, but the restaurant was fully closed off because they wanted some privacy. But I managed to get in because I knew the chef and I booked the table. So I was having dinner with Torricelli and Trezeguet because of the relatives from Pessotto, and had a chance to meet them and took a picture and got an autograph and things like that. So that was the first time I think I met Trezeguet in real life. I already have met Torricelli some years back when he was still a player, but it was the first time I encountered David Trezeguet. So
interesting.
Awesome. Yeah.
But just real quick on the Pessotto thing, it's again for a lot of, depending on how long you've been following the club, this might predate some people, but like right around the time of Calciopoli, like he had played as a dedicated defender for the team for many years and came into a management role. And during the Calciopoli, the relegation to Serie B, I forget, this must have been in like 2007. He jumped out of the 2006, jumped out of the 3rd story building of where Juve used to have their headquarters onto, I think he landed on a car, if I'm not mistaken.
15-meter fall.
Tried to commit suicide. I think it was in the news that he was like holding a rosary in his hand. And I think I don't know if it was ever clear on exactly what happened. I think he was rumored to have suffering from depression, and then like the weight of being in the management role with everything that was happening with the club. But he survived and made it through. Thankfully. But it's a really, really kind of dark moment, but interesting story.
Yeah, it was.
Remember the 2006 Fabio Cannavaro and the whole entire team that was singing Gianluca during the World Cup? Yeah. Cannavaro started these chants.
Okay, so it was before the World Cup then. Okay, when he did this.
During the World Cup.
During the World Cup. And if I'm not mistaken, it was also because of Calciopoli, because at a certain point between it happening or manifesting itself in court of laws, there was actually talk about Juve being liquidated as such that there was no Juve to be seen if all the punishments that they asked for were going to be provided by general law. And at that point, I think he felt that he failed because he was a player during a bit of that time, with Moji and everything, and into management as well. So I think the weight of that on him was something that he couldn't bear, and was something that led him into that depression, unfortunately. But
So that happened.
He's back. He's out. He's good now.
Yeah, that's good. That happened on June 27th, 2006. So right before the
God, almost
World
20
Cup
years
final.
ago. I can't believe
And
that.
if you're struggling with suicidal thoughts in America here, 988 is the phone number. Finally, they got the 3-digit number. So we're all about mental health on this podcast, and check
Also
on your
for
friends
the guys
if
in
you
Europe.
feel.
I mean, if you ever have issues, you can even reach out to us if you just want to have a talk.
Absolutely.
Whether it be via DM or whatever. Don't hold your feelings and talk about it. There's always
If you feel like our crew is the last people you want to talk to, please do reach out to us. Except for that one guy, I'll never forget. I always, send out messages. If you're struggling, let us know. We'll talk about it. We're all friends. This one guy wrote, speaking of Allegri, he's like, I'm having suicidal thoughts and like this whole thing. And at the end, because Allegri is the Juventus coach and it's 2022 or something like that, I was like, don't joke around like that.
No,
But
that's bad.
but yeah, he was only joking, but it's no joking matter. It's a, what do they say? Permanent solution to a temporary problem. So reach out for help if you need it. I'm glad we got that in. That kind of made us feel like we're actually mature people. All right, let's move on with our list that my phone just closed. Moving on, we'll just breeze through the rest. Tacchinardi. If one person wants to speak, Ralph is waving his hands. Please let us.
Gonna bring it back to 2003. He made us pass to Barcelona. I remember that performance vividly.
Beautiful.
He was the embodiment of Juventus for me in so many ways.
And he's a very handsome player too. Very beautiful man. Speaking of beautiful
What is
man,
it with you today? I mean, Marquisio.
Come on, look at Marquise actually reposted it. I got some crap for this person, but these people were just not around when Lord Padoin was bossing. And someone wrote, well, he's not it's like, you're a Juventus fan. It's not the point. You're not allowed to badmouth or say something negative about Padoin, who actually came back after. And I don't know if he still is with the management, but he was
our talismano, like we say in Italy.
Yeah,
absolutely, the man,
charm.
The legend. I actually met him, and I took a selfie with him. I took a picture with Nedved 2 minutes prior to that, and I think I was excited more about a picture with Padoin. If you guys are watching, I should probably increase my screen size here. If you guys are watching on YouTube or on Spotify,
Vucinic.
Mr. Mirko Vucinic, who's responded to our stuff as well. He's a legend who decided to take his shorts off to celebrate. That was hilarious.
Yes.
I was like, that's a red, right? Like, I've never seen that before. But he did get a yellow, but I assume the bottom of your outfit is a red card, automatic. What about this guy?
Pepe.
I'll never forget Simone Pepe's bicycle kick.
Yeah.
Bicycle kick against Udinese. That was beautiful.
Yeah.
Or it was Udinese. I'll never forget his game-tying goal against Napoli when we went 3-3, and that was a war. That was one game in our unbeaten season that we thought we were going to lose for sure. But Pepinho, he was a great player. Doesn't get a lot. He's literally underrated. Like you mentioned it to an average Juve fan, they may not remember. Of course, the God himself, another beautiful man. I'm sorry, they're all Italians, man. What do you want me to do? Not say they're handsome? Andrea Barzagli,
arguably the most important of the three BBC players that gets overlooked.
Yeah, well said, Kevin.
Yeah.
And I just read a story not too long ago that Del Piero encouraged him to join Juve
Yeah.
after he was falling out of favor with Bremer.
Is it
I wanna say.
Wolfsburg or Mönchengladbach? Wolfsburg?
Mönchengladbach.
I said
Mönchengladbach.
Bremer. No, he wasn't. He wasn't Mönchengladbach. Don't say that.
He was
Somebody
in
Google.
Wolfsburg, Barzagli. Barzagli was in
Wolfsburg.
Wolfsburg.
Sorry.
There you go.
Okay.
I think a free transfer, but okay.
Yeah.
I think it was 300,000.
300,000.
Yeah,
That's free.
Yeah, that's free.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
Practically for
Yeah.
free.
You're so right about, like, he was that glue that put the, Bonucci did his own thing, and he was the attacking center back, and he had his moments. A lot of people said that without Barzagli, the two wouldn't survive. He was literally underrated.
Fun fact about Barzagli: when he joined Juventus, his first preseason training schedule, I think they did it in the Alps prior to all this European or USA tour that we have now. They just went into the Alps and trained there, or like somewhere in Switzerland or Austria, just the border of Italy. So they had a training, and it was his first one, and the players went to the locker room or whatever, and they were like, "Man, we're tired. This is literally hell." And Barzagli said, "Well, you think it's over? Let's go. We're gonna go back." And everybody's like, "What do you mean we're going back?" "Yeah, we're gonna do some finishing, and we're gonna do some this and that." But the coach said it's okay. Well, I say it's not okay. Get back on the pitch, and everybody just listened.
What a guy.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Loved him as a player. I loved I think it was during his last season when he did that solo run against Roma and just passed it off to Jovinko with a finish. That was, every time I post this on anywhere on, any social media, it gets incredible amount of attention because it was such a crazy run. It was at the end of the game. You'd think a 36-year-old or something, whatever he was at the time, he wouldn't be able to do all that. But it's a great run. He got his due. I think Jovinko had a great finish too, but Barzagli got the most credit for that, deservedly. But here you go. I feel like this will be a fun segment for the podcast. I'm trying to do a little more, so a little behind the scenes here. Let me take care of some business. YouTube, please subscribe. We are trying to gain more followers on there and subscribers. We will have more things. As far as YouTube. Yes, sir.
Can I throw in one more name?
Absolutely. I'm sorry for not asking.
Lilian Thuram. And he was not underrated, but he's still a Juventino first class. Like, he slapped Marcus Thuram.
Yeah, speaking of not jumping to the chant, right?
What Frederick, you love that, right? His son plays with us, but he was like, aside from being like arguably a top 3 defender in the world when he played for us, together with Cannavaro and Buffon, they came from Parma, like the Holy Triad. He was like the true embodiment of like what it is to be like a professional and a sportsman. Lilian Thuram. Always had like a great spot for him.
He was, if I'm not mistaken, the one that at the time was mad because Edgar Davids arrived at the training ground earliest of everybody, but Edgar came by bicycle. So he literally biked, I don't know, it was something about 20 kilometers. And Thuram wouldn't stand for that. So next week on, Thuram also started biking. And before we knew it, half the team was biking back and forth to training.
See, that's what we need nowadays.
Free warm-up and things like that. And that was basically Thuram by making a statement like, I'm not gonna have that. I'm gonna bike as well. I'm gonna come in.
I didn't know that. That's a good story.
Yeah.
Well, everyone knows.
I have a very big testicles.
I'm gonna drop an atomic bomb. Marcelo Zalaeta.
Beautiful shout. I feel like I need to talk to Rafael afterwards because I want to do a part number 2 on Instagram. It seems like people enjoy that one. I
gotta shut up now.
No, you're good. I love when people interrupt me. Anyways, I'm just joking. Great names. We shall do this again. I feel like that was a long list. I feel like I should shorten it to get more content. Sorry, I was going to mention YouTube. Obviously, Dele Alpi shirt, TurinGiants.com. Please check it out. Fuck it, we're done.
Fiorentina, your thoughts, guys? Are we gonna win, lose, draw? It's a make or break, because I think if we lose, and that's my opinion, they'll fire.
I think if we lose
Conte on
this,
the
top
spot.
four is not going to happen. I think if we lose this, we're gonna further implode. This game is incredibly important. Like I said, I personally am a bit like numb right now. I don't have like the high expectations, and I hope I can find that passion going into Sunday, because we need it. Like, not finishing top four would be a total disaster. The financial repercussions and what it means for the club, and being able to attract the right talent, being able to support the club in the right way. We will not be in any position with any leverage when it comes to sales. We will be in a place of desperation where, like, when there's players we know we need to offload this summer, Vlahovic.
You okay?
I think so.
Yeah,
I had to get that one out. So we need to finish top four, and I just think a loss against Fiorentina, Lazio is not showing signs of slowing down.
I mean, people forget to mention Bologna as well. They're on 50 points. We're on 52. They're in sixth place.
That's very, very true.
Also,
So,
Roma keeps on winning.
Yeah,
playing good
made
football
the
with
last
Ranieri.
10 matches with Ranieri. Last 10 matches, they've earned the most points in Serie A. I think it was 27.
Yeah.
They've had 26 points from the last 10 games. Is that even a mathematics? Yeah.
And we will drop points when we visit the Olimpico twice between Lazio and Roma. We will drop points. Dropping points against Fiorentina will be unacceptable.
Does he know why we're laughing? What was with the balloons?
It's well, for those who aren't watching the video feed, the Google Meet does this automatic stuff. If you do certain hand gestures, do it again.
I was like, oh my god, we're having a party.
Yeah.
Holy shit! What the hell?
I think if you do this, you just get balloons.
Oh my god!
If we do this, it rains. I think. Yeah.
All right. What an expert.
Save it for the next podcast.
Also, fun fact: the board of management at Exor voted for a recapitalization, if needed be, for Juventus, and the majority voted for no recapitalization. So that means
that's not such a fun fact.
If we're gonna get fucked financially this year, we'll be properly fucked. So
we had good results, really. So I see it on a positive side.
But that's because of the Champions League. It's the only reason why we had a positive closure of the books recently.
If we don't get the Champions League spot, then we're definitely screwed, I think.
Maybe something for next time. So we're gonna make a little bridge to Fiorentina again. The fact of Moise Kean that has exploded there, and now Fagioli that apparently is doing really well. It's going to be interesting to see that.
Yeah. Man, I'm still not over that one. I still follow Fagioli. Feels weird to see him in a different jersey. Boys, what do you say we finish it here? Again, my terrible promotion of all of our socials at Turin Giants. YouTube.com/Turin Giants official. Don't forget to add the official to there. Let me show you guys the jersey one more time in case you didn't see it first 100 times. But Dele Alpi shirts, please check them out. We will be obviously posting more things about the shirt on our Instagram account. Rafa, I think we totally enjoyed your company. I hope you'll be back with better sound equipment, and when you come back to Earth.
My sincere apologies for that.
No, I'm just playing with you. You're fine. But we will need
it was an absolute pleasure. I didn't expect this. It was a really nice little facts that I learned, like Turam on the bike.
These are super
hit me
excited
up anytime. I will promote your channel, of course.
You're the man.
as everyone should.
You're
And
the man. Appreciate
thanks for
it.
having me.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Anytime. I hope you'll be back. Fredo, Kevin, you guys are awesome. Zach, we missed you. I hope you enjoyed all the sound drops. I promised to
Shout
give him a
out,
little
Zach.
extra. Here's for him. Boys and girls, thank you for joining us. I really mean it this time. Check on your friends, stay hydrated, and Forza Juve.
Forza Juve.
Purple Finest.
Yeah, siamo finiti in B, gli unici a pagare per calciopoli. Yeah, e qui non ci piove, che nel cuore di scudetti sono 29. Mollo tutto e tutti, solo per seguirti. Bianco nero, bianco nero, bianco nero, bianco nero. Un solo grido, dalla curva si alzerà. Bianco nero, bianco nero, bianco nero, bianco nero. Per 29 volte campioni d'Italia, per niente e nulla al mondo abbandonerò sta squadra. Tra tutte quante di fissa più stile, storia di un amore senza una fine.
Toodaloo, motherfucker.
Hey.